Welcome back to another episode of The Pit. Sports Director from WALB here, Aaron Mukes, and I'm joined by WRDW at the station for the first time, as well as Sports Director Tony Reese from WTVM. Joseph Doring, new to the Pit crew. I have to ask you first, how does it feel to be a part of this new regional Georgia sports show?
It feels so good. It's something new. It's something that we're starting to see some of our other gray media television stations start to do, especially over in South Carolina. So to have our own thing now over in Georgia and for us to be a part of it now and to be invited into this group here at the Pit, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm really happy to be on here for the first time ever joining you two guys.
Yeah, it's funny. We see each other often at games and things like that. We interact with each other, but we've never ever really been able to collaborate the way we'd like to. And now we get this opportunity. And it's not just you. We are also going to be joined by Alyssa Lyons. Having these new faces, eventually you'll see some more WALB faces as well. We've already seen a number of WTVM faces, and this collaborative effort is just going to continue to grow and grow. Tony, are you feeling good after your vacation back in the South?
Fellas, glad to be back. It was cold up in New York City, but hey, back in the South, man, I'm loving it. Ready to get back to work, and already right here before March Madness on top of that. So we got a lot to get into.
It's been kind of cold here,
excited to be back.
It's been a little cold here too. Not quite New York cold, but we have to start with some bad news from the Atlanta Falcons. James Pearce Jr. arrested for assault. Obviously the interactions, it's been all over the news with Rickea Jackson, WNBA player. I want to ask you guys, I'm going to start with you first, Joseph, the impact this has on the Falcons. What does this mean for not only that defense, but them as a team in general?
Yeah, we've talked about this, or I have rather, with some other people here at work and even outside of work. To me, it's more of a immediate factor on how it impacts the defense. Of course, you take out the 10.5 sacks from his stellar rookie season, almost winning defensive rookie of the year, now in this situation here today. And how do the Falcons move forward with it? Well, everybody that was in the building that led to drafting James Pearce Jr. last year with the 26th overall pick, with swapping with Los Angeles, they're no longer in the building, and the new era of the 2026 Falcons is here. So how they move forward as a team and as an organization without Pearce Jr. in the picture, well, that's yet to be determined, and that's something that I don't think any of us can really predict, but it is going to be very apparent how impactful he is not being on the field, and how guys like Jalen Walker, Xavier Watts, and Billy Bowman Jr. are going to have to pick up the pace here in the next season to make up for that loss.
So, Tony, we know they don't have a lot of assets in the draft. They don't have a first-round pick because they traded it to move up to get Pearce. What are some maybe ideas that you think that Atlanta could take in order to fill that role, or are they going to have to look within the organization now and have some guys step up?
I think, Aaron, it's a little bit of both. I know they talk about bringing in new GM Ian Cunningham, who says he loves picks. Picks are like money to him. So I think definitely I could see them trying to make a play for that first round. Once again, there's a lot of good defensive guys coming out across the board, especially from the SEC. I could see them trying to make another play there. Now, what does that cost? There's a lot of questions there on what they'll have to buy in to try to get that. I also think there's some guys already on the team. We know for the past couple of seasons, the defense has never really been a problem. It's always been the offensive side of things. So I think there's several guys throughout that defense that could step up in that role temporarily. It just really depends on how all these court proceedings go and if it'll actually have to be extended time or if they'll have to cut ties with him entirely. I think that's definitely going to be a factor, man. We talk about all these things. Ultimately, there's always been the rumor, are the Falcons cursed? I always say after a loss, Falcons are going to Falcon. In true fashion, already the Falcons have already falconed. But you bring in the new director of football, your president of football, and Matt Ryan. You bring in the GM and Ian Cunningham, and then you bring in the head coach, Kevin Stefanski. And like Joe mentioned, a lot of those guys, the Terry Fontenot's, the Raheem Morrises that were there, that brought in James Pearce, they're no longer there. You still have Jeff Ulbrich, his defensive coordinator. So you're questioning, does he still have faith in him? I know he spoke on it, and of course he was disappointed in the actions of it. So there's a lot of questions there, and a lot of things that we hope to see come spring training on if they're able to figure things out or not.
You talk about, are the Falcons cursed? The reason I wanted to talk about this topic is because of 28-3, the Ulbrich situation last year where his son prank calls Shedeur Sanders. Right. Over the years, it seems like every time the Falcons have this positive line trending up, something happens. And, you know, it dates back at least since the year 2000. I think there is a little bit of this just stigma that's around this organization. But I want to question the top. Like, do you guys think this is something that starts with Arthur Blank, or is this just something that's just a dark cloud over the organization as a whole and really there's no control? But I've questioned just how things have gone for this franchise for literally 20 plus years.
Who wants to take the lead on that one?
I started out. I think, man, this gives
don't all volunteer at once.
I think this gives like Jerry Jones' operation here. Like, all right, we talk about this long-time franchise owner. They had glory days back in the day, but in recent years, it just hasn't hit the mark. The Dirty Bird faithful show up and show out every game. But as I mentioned, like I said, Falcons are going to Falcon in true fashion. You talk about that 28-3, of course, against of all quarterbacks, Tom Brady, the GOAT himself. That's one of those games that you really thought you had in the bag, and then you go back. The last time they've made the playoffs has been like 2017. So we're going on, 9 years now? And every year it's been like subpar performance. Not saying the NFC South is not even – it's easy to run through at that. Like, you talk about them, you talk about the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and of course the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And ironically, they finished in first in a three-way tie, but because of how everything stacked out and the losses they took against the Panthers and even the Buccaneers and the Saints, it was just all across the board. They wound up being out of the playoffs this year. So it's not like the division is hard to win. And the problem is you have all the pieces now. Your star quarterback goes down last year. You hate to see Michael Penix do that, but then Kirk Cousins shows up, and now they're talking about cutting Kirk Cousins. So now you got to ask yourself, what is the team? What's the identity right now? You bring in a new coach. We saw what Stefanski did up there with Shedeur Sanders. Now you're questioning, like, is it going to be similar to the same year with Michael Penix, or what really needs to happen, fellas, to really snap this quote unquote curse they have?
So, Joseph, what is the identity of Falcons?
Right now, we don't know what the identity is. Is it a defensive-minded team, or is it an offensive-minded team? Because on one hand, you've got one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league in Bijan Robinson, but also then on the defense, you've got all these rising stars, some of which we have just talked about here in the last few draft classes. So in terms of an identity, yet to be seen. But when it comes to the overarching maybe potential issues you just talked about of does it start with Arthur Blank? I think it does. I think that is a fair assumption to make, because someone's got to pull the strings to bring in the fresh line of management every offseason and have the same guys come in and make the same decisions that everyone else before them did. So with this new regime coming in with Kevin Stefanski as head coach and bringing a lot of other Cleveland Browns coaches with him, yet to be determined on if the Cleveland Falcons, Atlanta Browns, whatever you want to call them, this ends up working here down in the A. But I'm very optimistic that this can work, and it will work for the Falcons this year and the next several years moving forward. But their identity right now is not the best. I would say the Falcons are cursed. Second longest active playoff drought in the NFL, only second to the New York Jets. Carolina Panthers were tied with them at second this year, but they broke that playoff curse. So Falcons still in misery. Haven't made the playoffs since I was in high school.
Man.
Wow, you guys are so young. Anytime you're in the same category as the New York Jets, that is not a good thing. But there is hope. 2026, if you're a Falcons fan, this is the year. Every team is 0-0, right? That's how it starts. All right, coming up, we have more on the way. We're going to head to spring training. Atlanta Braves kick off spring training. We're talking Braves baseball after the break. Welcome back to the pit. We turn our attention now to the diamond. The Atlanta Braves opening up spring training last week, and the same story seems to be happening over and over again since that World Series team. The injuries, the big storyline. But I have to ask you, we're going to start with the positive side first. Ronald Acuna Jr. looking pretty good, back, taking batting practice, says he is ready to go. Obviously, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, all those guys returning. Austin Riley working his way back. Positive vibes going into spring training, guys. What are your first impressions? We'll get to the injuries about this 2026 Atlanta Braves team. Tony, I'll start with you.
I think definitely, man, you talk about one person I'm curious to really see, Jurickson Profar. We know last year they acquired him, and then due to that PEDs case he had going on, he missed roughly 62 games. He's looking to play a big role, I'm hearing, this year. We talked about what they're saying. You know, they lost Big Bear and Marcelo Zuna, so they're looking for him to possibly step into the DH role. I know he's not 100% here for it, but I think he's definitely going to be a spark catalyst. We saw that towards the back end of the season. It was kind of late after they dropped so many games, but he definitely was a spark, dang near homering in just about every game, where he had solid RBIs in every game. So I think he's definitely going to be a key factor. A lot of these guys you talk about bringing in the healthiness, Ronald Acuna back, Michael Harris is back, Spencer Strider's looking good. I think it's going to be a pretty good team going in. Now, of course, as you mentioned, injuries are bound to happen. But I think with that being said, a lot of our guys, especially here with the Columbus Clingstones, we got to see a lot of those guys come up to the big stage. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that this season as well.
Joseph, I have to ask about this lineup. They lose Kim early on so far, so he'll be out a while. But do you think this lineup can withstand a few injuries? We've seen in the past they get injured and they start to spiral. We saw it last year specifically. Does this specific lineup set up for them to withstand some of those injuries that we're going to talk about?
Absolutely. I don't think you can talk about the Atlanta Braves and not say that this has the potential to be one of the best hitting teams in the league, regardless of injury or not. They have playmakers that even stepped up last year when the Braves were still a couple games out of potentially grabbing one of those last NL wildcard spots. But they had players that were able to come out of the dugout and bring them almost back into playoff contention. So when you start off the year, yes, we know there's a couple injuries on the pitching side and potentially a little bit more to come later on. Hopefully no more will happen in spring training. But when you talk about what the on paper right now, what the batting lineup looks like, I don't see how you could say that this team is incapable of winning a World Series. We know Braves might be cursed, the Falcons might be cursed, as we just talked about. Atlanta might be cursed as a whole, but the Braves did just win a World Series 5 years ago, and I think they got the capability to do it again on the plate and in the outfield.
Yeah, anytime you have an MVP caliber player in Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back healthy, if you get Austin Riley back and Albies and Harris Harris really down the stretch last year started to pick up his bat. I'm with you. I think this is a team that is loaded, one of the best lineups top to bottom when everybody's healthy. But the pitching rotation is what everybody's going to talk about. And despite guys like Chris Sale and Spencer Strider and those guys, and Reynaldo Lopez back, you're going to have the talk be about Spencer Schwellenbach and now Hurston Waldrep. The injuries are already happening, and you need that depth. When we look at these two guys, specifically Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrep, how do you approach the start of the season? Are you now taking it easier on guys? Are you maybe saying, hey, look, we're not trying to stretch these guys out because of the length of the season and we might not have the depth? What would be your approach if you're manager Weiss going into this season? And I'll start with you, Joseph.
It's the longest season in professional sports, 162 games. I don't think you can rush anyone back, whether it's Schwellenbach or Waldrep, maybe either of them not ready to go. I know we're supposed to hear some more from Waldrep's injury here on Monday from the doctor, but if they're not ready to go, you don't try and rush them back. You've got so much time to get them back in the rotation. We didn't see Ronald Acuna come back for over a year. He came back last year, first game back on the plate, hits a home run on the first pitch he sees. So as a pitcher, those pitcher injuries can be extremely tough to come back from in a very limited amount of time. And here we are just over a month away from opening day on March 26th, I believe. So you don't have much time to get these guys ready for day one, but you do have plenty of time to have them rest and recoup depending on the severity of their injury to come in, say, in May, June, or even at the All-Star break to give you a playoff push if you need it or keep you above playoff contention and get you back to the postseason.
Tony, that fifth rotation spot's probably up for grabs right now. Who do you think needs to step up? Is it a guy like Grant Holmes? Do we need to see Reynaldo Lopez back to being healthy? Like who do you feel like needs to step up outside of Strider and Sale, who obviously are the aces and they have to perform?
I think you hit the nail on the coffin there. I think Grant Holmes definitely, he's going to have to get worked in on that rotation a little bit more. I think Lopez, by far, him coming in, he had some good games last season. There were some he wasn't as great. I think they're going to look for more of them. I think they're really going to fall back on the farm system a little bit more. I know you also heard Alex Anthopoulos talk about how he hopes to possibly even bring in another big-time pitcher, so we're curious to see what he does there. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a couple plays before the season starts, come opening day in just a couple weeks. But it's to be told, like we said, it's a 162-game season, so the amount of rotations we'll see throughout the course of the season, it'll probably take midway through, let's say, one-third of the season before they really figure out what's going to work for them. And hopefully by then they have some solid wins under their belt and they can go ahead and make a deep run.
The thing I'll say is that can't happen this year that happened last year is they got so far behind the 8 ball last year that they didn't really know where to go. Trade deadline comes, do we buy or do we sell? They end up really doing nothing. And if you get in that type of a hole, even though it's a long 162 game season, you could find yourself out of a playoff spot pretty quickly. So I think it's important they get off to a hot start, at least stay relevant, be in the race until some of those guys, some of those arms can get back. And I think they're really going to have to rely on their bats early in the season. We need that 2022, 23, or whenever they were leading the league in home runs, and they need that to return pretty quickly. So, but Braves spring training is going to continue to go throughout. We actually want to announce there's Braves on Gray is returning. So we as a company are going to be showing 15 spring training games. I believe that starts February 22nd. Yeah, so it's coming up.
Yeah.
Perfect. February 22nd. All the games are at 1 p.m. I don't know who made that graphic. That was me. But again, this is going to be a good opportunity for fans in our area to watch these games with the networks and the things that are going on right now with the broadcasting rights. There's going to be some opportunities here for some Braves games to be seen by a lot of people. And I know they're working on stuff as far as what's going to happen when the season hits, but a good opportunity for our viewers in all three of our demographic areas to catch the Braves. So I'm excited for that. That'll start next week. And I'm going to be watching. So hopefully they get off to a hot start and some of those bats get to working early. All right, we talked about it off air. The NBA All-Star Weekend, was it a success? Was it a failure? Who knows? We're talking about it after the break. All right, welcome back to the pit. It is time to turn our attention to NBA All-Star Week. And a lot of talk coming into the week was, should they be getting rid of it? How do they fix this event? Tony, I know, big basketball guy. I know how much you love watching the NBA. I have to ask you, Damian Lillard comes back. First of all, your thoughts on him being able to win the three-point contest, and he's coming off that Achilles injury. He's not even going to play this year, but he wins the three-point shootout. How impressive was that?
One word, legendary, man. Guy, long-time player, been a long-time fan of his. So to see him come back and do his thing, that was awesome to watch, man.
Joseph, you look like back in the day when you played, you were a big-time dunker. A lot of the conversation has been about the dunk contest and should they get rid of it? How do they bring the excitement back? Every dunk's been done. I didn't get to see the entire dunk competition, but I did see the tail end of it. And I'll just say, I think it's time for it to end. I don't know where you guys' thoughts are, but it's not exciting to me. The guys are not really doing anything special. That's my thought. I'm just going to ask you, Joseph, what are your thoughts? I think the dunk contest should end.
I don't necessarily think it should end. I just think you got to start getting guys who care about it again. I was 16 years old back during the Aaron Gordon showdown with Zach LaVine in 2016 when it was up in Toronto, and that was arguably the best dunk contest we ever got. And we always talk about it every year, but here we are 10 years removed from that contest, and we've yet to see anything close to that again. So I think it's similar to the three-point competition and some of the All-Star Game stuff. If you just get guys that care and have a little bit of creativity, you never know what could happen, but I don't think it's time for it to go away just yet.
I heard Ant-Man saying this, like he can't be in the dunk competition because he's not creative. He said, I can't, do all that fancy stuff. Tony, what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy it? I did not.
I'm on the back end with you, man. I caught highlights of that one. I didn't really get to watch it as much, but I know dude gave a lot of homage. He was dunking over E40, things like that. Shout out to him for getting creative. A lot of these new guys. I thought Max McClung was going to come in and do his thing, but I know he didn't do it this year.
He's by far the best dunker.
Champion, so I'm curious to see where they do with it going forward.
I think it speaks volumes that we're not watching it. Like in the past, we would be making sure that we're in front of our TV at 8 p.m. when that started or whatever. And it started early because they had to go to the Olympics.
Right.
And it was weird. All right. The competitiveness of the game, the format. Did you guys like the format? I enjoyed it. Tony, I'll start with you. How did you feel about the format?
Hey, man, it's Team World versus Team USA. Already that gets everybody, a lot of the great pros that are in there now, the big names, the Jokic, the Wembianas, for them to have their own team facing off against the Young Bucks and the Anthony Edwards and a lot of the Scotty Barnes and guys like that, man. Jalen Johnson, the local Atlanta Hawk player. It was dope, man. For 4 games to go across, and it was like kind of a round-robin style. I enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best things I've seen in recent years.
Yeah,
Joseph,
totally agree.
I think the highlight was Kawhi. That was my highlight. What was your kind of takeaway from
Oh, yeah. I think that was the highlight because that may have been the only highlight I got the chance to see, but I agree with Tony's point. I mean, you bring in everybody. You got Team World, Team USA Stars, you got Team Stripes, a little bit of the USA reserves on that team, but still the culmination of the best talent across the league coming together on the court at one time. And I did like the tournament style of the 3 games that they played, or 3 different teams across 4 games to decide a winner. So I did think that was very unique, and that Kawhi breakaway dunk may have been the best thing I saw, and then the game winner to seal that off. But his team, Team Stripe, was gassed by the end of that competition.
No doubt.
You could definitely tell the young guys had more energy than the old guys, KD, Bron, and Kawhi and them. We can't leave without talking about Atlanta Hawks, Jalen Johnson, first All-Star appearance, and he performed pretty well for the limited minutes he had. He filled the stat sheet, which is what we expect of him. Quick thoughts on Jalen Johnson.
Face of the franchise. He's the new Atlanta Hawks, built around him. I know it's funny, Ant even talked about, man, I'm trying to get back home. Bring Ant home. Bring Anthony Edwards to Atlanta, and we're going to be set for the next 5-10 years.
Oh, I like
Tony said it best. Future face of the league. That's why Trae Young's no longer on the team. That's why he's gone. You got new guys coming in like Jalen Johnson ready to take over for Atlanta.
Well, we love to see it. Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks. Somebody's got to break through and bring a title back to the Peach State. All right, that does it here for episode number 4 of The Pit. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you guys join us next week for a brand new episode. See you guys.